right, Crouton Ramon's House of Math, maybe. It says we're live. See, you have to wait for it to do that because if I don't wait for it to do that, and then I did it before when I did session 7 at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then Facebook ate it because when I noticed that down here in the corner, it didn't say that I was live. It was still had the wheel of death. But anyway, the wheel of death has gone away, and we are in fact live. And you're coming to you live from the Blanket Fort of Math here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where it's like 108 at the moment. Where I come from, when the sun goes down, it gets cool. Here, it does not get cool when the sun goes down. It just stays hot. It's awesome. I just went swimming in a pool that is bath water, basically. Anyway, so this is X-rated mathematics. Let's talk about X-rated because we're past R. Because we're at the point now where I can't talk about things here or on YouTube because if I do, um, it's considered X-rated. In other words, it's I can be removed. I can have my speech censored because it's X-rated. What kind of topics? We're talking about sex. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about well, I don't know. How about what goes on with the vaccines? Apparently, that information is X-rated now. Um, the information now is coming out, but it was for a little while they're X-rated, where you couldn't talk about the fact that that election was absolutely, positively stolen. If you could do even just a little bit of mathematics. What else was X-rated? Oh, what happened on 9/11? X-rated. USS Liberty, X-rated. Five-star passports, X-rated. See, they've limited your speech by saying that this is X rated, and they are the ones who get to tell you now who gets to hear what. So they're at the point now where, and people were going for it, and there were a lot of us going, no, that's not how that works. See, because we have this thing called free speech, which we have not restored yet, but we will. And those who stand in the way, woe unto you. Anyway, on my website, behind a paywall, there's going to be some X-rated information, and a lot of that's going to be for members of this group called Archaix, and and it's amusing because Archaix kind of sounds like Archaeus, which is another name for the ether. Don't quote me on that spelling because I do math, not spelling. But it's that's supposed to be an R, by the way. Archaeus, the ether, the space between magnets, the magnetronics that they won't let it. That's X-rated information. Oh, how to heal using living water. That's X-rated. Well, it's not so X-rated anymore. You can talk about it, but it's crazy talk to most people. Anyway, that's going to be behind a paywall. And this is going to be a private membership association. And the dues is a one time fee of $37.50. Many of you have already paid it. And by the way, if you've got passwords, I'm considered that you have paid that, and you will be a member of the private membership association, but you're going to have to ask, and a lot of you are too embarrassed to ask. Why are you embarrassed to ask? Anyway, but you'll have to ask to join, and if you paid your 37.50, or if you bought a password, any password at any price at any time in the past, you'll consider to have paid the fee and be part of the private membership association if you like. But it comes, the page that will take you here is going to come with the X-rated warnings because it's going to be a lot of shit that you don't want to hear. You've proven it over and over again that you don't want to hear it. When it comes to mathematics, that won't be behind this wall. But they don't want to hear about a way to teach mathematics that's 100% successful about 100% of the time. They don't want to hear that. They want you to know that math is hard and that you have to struggle. Right? Today, I was teasing the mom because It was a challenge. He was trying to figure out. I have 3x and I have 18. That means that I have uh, how much under each cup. Well, he then figured out that well, it has to be the same thing. Well, it could be 10 and 8. That was how he could break up 18, but he couldn't figure out how to break it up into three equal parts. And by the way, I've had high school and freshmen in college with the same issue. This child just turned 7. Anyway, the idea is that he didn't know how many sixes were in 18, or that he could take 18 and divide it into three parts, and each cup would have 6. It took him a while to figure it out, but it wasn't scary. It wasn't hard. He knew the answer was under the cup, and that's the fun of the game, is figuring out what's under the cup before you pick up the cup. Total change in paradigm. It's fun. It's one of their favorite games. All right, that's some information like that will be behind. That's already on the other side. Not it won't be in the X-rated part of the website, but that information is all kind of sort of X-rated because the liberal white women who have taken over the teaching of instruction of mathematics on the North American continent want you to know that math is hard and that you should struggle. And if you get up a little higher than that into the university level, part of their identity is the fact that they can do math and you can't. So they know that they're smarter or better than you because they can do math and you can't. So are you going to tell me that those people have an interest in teaching you mathematics if part of their identity is that they can do math and you can't? This is some shit you don't want to hear. Okay, there's going to be a whole bunch more of that because session 7 and everything in the world has happened today to make sure that session 7 didn't get recorded earlier than this. I don't know how late it's going to be. But the 7th session, because there's 6 of them. Anyway, the 7th one is going to be recorded here shortly. This is the commercial for the 7th session. And the 7th session is going to be, there's going to be some X-rated stuff on that. Facebook will let me get away with it. But there's going to be, I'm going to have to, there's a long way around putting some stuff behind my paywall that isn't hosted by YouTube or Facebook or anybody. That's actually hosted on the website. But that takes up so much and makes it cost a lot more. And I'm not spending money to teach you guys math. That's not how this is going to work. Okay, so anyway, the X-rated portion of the website has not yet been built, but it will be built, and it will be built mostly for these guys because there's some knowledge that they have that is definitely shit you don't want to hear. We're at the end of a cycle. At the moment, our friend L, or Saturn, is in the house of Aries. And when Saturn is in the house of Aries, there will be two things. This is their sky clock, and they don't care if you believe it or not. There will be two things when Saturn enters Aries' house. There will be war, but there will also be justice. And I can tell you directly that above all, the mathematics is predictive. I just had that conversation with my son, who is currently in Cambodia, about to go to Angkor Wat. And there in Angkor Wat is encoded all kinds of mathematics because the structure is the mathematics. And they put, if you are knowledgeable enough to look at it and know the measurements, all manner of information is encoded there, just like all manner of information is encoded in the Great Pyramid. And that information is X-rated. But you're going to have some of that behind. Okay. Oh, more information that's X-rated. Who wrote that book? Who wrote that and when? And why? What book am I referring to? Some of you know. Wait, I happen to have one right here. Actually, I have many copies, many different kinds. Let's see here. Where have you gone? There you are. I didn't know I was going to go down this road. Anyway, yeah, that book. 10 ciphers in here, and you guys read one cipher, the literal cipher. There's multiple ciphers in this book. That's how clever these people are. Anyway, that's X-rated information will be behind the paywall for sure, and that's going to piss off a lot of people. So I suggest you go to the logic page and maybe get through a logic course before you come here, because otherwise you're just going to get your feelings hurt. Because see, here's the problem: math is, I'm not even going to put is. You know what that symbol means. And we now live in a time where this is definitely shit you don't want to hear. But don't care. Don't care about your feelings. Don't care. Don't care. And we're late in the day, people. These people know we are late in the day. It's too late to be polite. So anyway, I'm going to be making some video specifically for some people here, because I'm going to do a little something I hardly ever do, which is advertise. But some of these people need to know about me, and the only way they're going to know about me is if I spend some money with Jason, and I'm more than happy to do it, and make a little 30-second commercial that sends them to a page on my website that's X-rated, wherein, see, because here's the thing, people. Once seen cannot be unseen. What is that? Interesting. I think that was Kitty Cat. All right. Anyway, once seen cannot be unseen. Once heard cannot be unheard. Once read, you can't unread it. So it's going to come with a really stiff warning. And you're going to have to pay. And you're going to have to, and when you pay the $37.50, that is what's going to be called implied consent to the fact that there's stuff on this web page that you don't want to see. And you're going anyway. So, like I said, stuff about 5-star passports is going to be there. Eventually, it's not there now, but it's going to be. More stuff for the trivium, because the quadrivium, all of it's going to be there eventually. A grammar page is in the works. It didn't get finished. It's going to get finished. This page needs to get built. I have so many pages to build, it's crazy. And then I've been going over other pages where people have already paid for their passwords, and I have been improving and adding video and so on to password protected pages that already exist. So if you go there, make sure you hit refresh on your browser, because a lot of times, and sometimes I'm working on them, so you were just there and your computer will load and it will be the old version, and I've already updated it like 2 or 3 more times since the last time you've come. That doesn't happen all the time, but people noticed on the Trivium page that every time they refresh the page, suddenly there was more stuff. And eventually I'm going to break that into more pages, because it's a great long scroll, but it could be one scroll for Trivium, one scroll for Maria Montessori, and one scroll for Isabirth and John Taylor Gatto. So that could be 3 pages instead of 1. But anyway, and see, that information was X-rated. The government doesn't want you knowing that they're dumbing you down, oddly enough. And there's a lot of you that couldn't believe it. But it should be obvious, because the standards, the tests have become so much easier since I started teaching math 30 years ago, 35 years ago. I mean, I brag about the fact that my boy got 100% on the GED, but actually, that might not be as much of a flex as it ought to be. Let's put it that way. It's still a flex, but that's. I always told my boys, beware of being exceptional among the mediocre. But here's the thing. It's not a joke. The information I give you is X-rated also because I don't advertise it much, but my students generally get 100% because they understand that they know math. They don't memorize and forget. They know it. They know it. They just know it. Right? So when they see something like, you just see this. You don't see any Pythagorean theorem there. You don't see anything but 3 and 4 and 1. Okay. Um, but there is Pythagoras staring right at you. But anyway, the idea is that a lot of that information is X-rated, and it's behind paywalls. You're not getting it for free, and you're not getting it for cheap anymore. And like I said, I don't give guarantees because if I was telling everybody that, but I mean, 100s are so common that there are several pages on my website where you can meet a student that started getting hundreds, and you can actually watch the videos that gave them those hundreds. You'd think that'd be interesting to some teachers, but instead, no, they want math to be hard, and they know that you can't have all your students get 100%. Because math is hard, but when I teach math, I don't care what it is. Every single one of them in the class, the F troop, the guys in the back of the room, the mokes with the sunglasses on, all of them. No exceptions, no failures. If you got a F or a C, it's because you wanted to get an F or a C, not because you couldn't understand it. Because everybody else understands. And that's the other thing. You get a fire going where you've got 5, 10, 15 kids in there, and and I'm using that word on purpose. See, that's another thing. When I use the word instead of son and daughter, when I say kids, I mean it. Because I know the difference now. But anyway, the idea is that you get 15 or 20 of those sons and daughters together, and they all understand it, and then the other 15 or 20 will understand it too. That's just the thing that I've noticed. And then the least can help the most, and the most can help the least understand. Because a lot of times, the ones that were considered stupid, when they can get their hands on their blocks, they're actually faster than the left brain ones that didn't need it and were only using symbol. And then they can explain it, and then these guys can, and then they can talk to each other, and then lo and behold, everybody in the class, everybody gets an A. You can't have everybody get an A. This was explained to me on numerous occasions, in numerous states, by numerous principals. You just can't have everybody have an A. It's not how it works. Get your boys out of public school. Get your girls out of public school. Because they are running a belief system now that so many have A's, so many have B's, and so many have C's, and so many have D's, and they've moved this so far down, it's ridiculous. Because, see, back in my day, this was 90%. You had to get at least a 90% average. 90% of that stuff that was on the test, you had to be able to regurgitate it for them. And then this was at least 80. And then this was at least 70. And then the school I went to didn't have any D's. If you didn't get at least 70, you failed. That was as good as an F. You got no credit. See, but now they got it to where 60% is that D. And then they'll take it, that 60%, no, nay. That's the 70. We'll go down here and make this, oh my God, not 60 anymore, but like 59. I'm seeing crazy numbers. Right? Do you want a surgeon who only got 59% of it? You want somebody that only got 59% of it? Okay, that's not any kind of knowledge. I know, because I was getting 59s in calculus. That would have been a great score. 59 would have been a good day. Because I completely was dumbfounded by calculus. Like, what the... Because it was all memorization. Christian Cliff just had us memorize whatever it was. Couldn't explain anything. I explained everything. Right? I knew negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that's all I knew, because I knew the symbols and I could repeat it. But I had no pictures and I had no understanding. Now I can explain it to you, and then you can explain it to somebody else. 100% of the time, people understand when I explain something like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You should know that. That shouldn't be something you memorized and forgot. You should know that. That should be part of your working knowledge. The same way you know that this is red and this is green. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to look it up in a book. You don't have to ask a machine. This kind of stuff should be intrinsic to the human. It describes the world around you. That's just a really, really simple relationship. Okay. Like I said, you're gonna all kind of stuff you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear it. I'm not popular, and I know it, and I don't care. Why? Because I was under the crazy impression that people wanted the truth. Well, that turned out to be ridiculous. But I'm not dumbing it down for Karen. So you're not going to get books that only have symbols in them. I'm not going to go the way Matthew. If you want that, go Matthew C. Matthew C's already done it. They've already done it. Knock it into 12 steps. Little ones don't ever see algebra. They never see third power. For God's sakes, you can't show them third power. Or even second power. Or even an X. I mean, that's just crazy talk. And certainly you wouldn't want to talk about something as complicated as this triangle right here. And the relationship between this and that is 1 to 2. That's right? That's just for math nerds. The average person has no use for that knowledge, right? See, I gotta quit because you can hear it in my voice. People are ridiculous. We're just talking about rectangles and triangles and counting. There's 5 basic concepts. It's not hard. Mathematics is the study of numbers. All we do with numbers is count. That's all we're doing is counting. So you're trying to convince me that counting is hard. I won't let you. You can't convince me that counting is hard because it's not hard. We only count stuff that's same. The highest number we're going to count to is 9. If we get more than 9, it becomes 1 of the next kind. If we get 9 of those, it becomes 1 of the next kind. These people are teaching place value in 4th grade. What? But they're not trying to dumb you down or anything. We form rectangles to make it easy to count because, see, this thing right here, this part right here, hard to count. So we turn them into rectangles so they're easy to count. See, because this shape right here, easy to count. And then you could get a piece of paper and cut this thing in half, or fold it right in half there, and then you'll find out that this piece right here will fit right here, and you'll make a rectangle. Or you could, because why? Because concept number 3 is rectangles are easy to count. That's easy. And triangles are hard to count. 0, 0, no fun, get back to 1. That's it. So I could have started McRae with trigonometry if I wanted to. But instead, we kind of sort of started with 3rd power algebra instead. It's not me. It certainly isn't Crouton Ramon. It's the fact that Maria Montessori came up with a method that works, and Jerry picked up the ball and took it further when it came to the mathematics. And Jerry was happy for you to think, if you were so ignorant, and most of you were, for him to think that he created the 3-period lesson, or that he came up with the tactile, adding the tactile, and that this Mortensen math was his idea. It kind of sort of was, but it wasn't. He got it from Mario and Maria. But if you wanted to think that the Mortensen method was all out of his mind, well, I spoiled the party because all you got to do is go to the Trivium page and you'll see all the whole Mortensen method. But it's Maria Montessori. And see, now we got Montessori teachers that have never read Maria's work. What? She left. You ridiculous monkeys. She left you pieces of her mind that you can pick up and read for free on my website now. But I recommend you get the books because there's nothing like having the book in your hand. But read her mind because it was a brilliant mind. Anyway, we got work to do. There's going to be a lot of information here soon because these pages aren't built yet. Still haven't even finished out the trivium pages and all the stuff that needs to go there. But it's coming because now I get it almost every day now. What's with this 5-star passport? Oh, you guys waking up. All right, the 7th session is coming shortly. CroutonRamon'sHouseOfMath.com for more.